Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Final Down NFL podcast with me, Jim, Finn, Denver Dave, and Punk Raider. We're here to talk about NFL boys. How are we doing?
What up, homeboy?
Here we are.
You
Got a
are
lovely
very
view of Dave at the
lucky to
moment.
have me here. Dave's showing off his Nirvana t-shirt.
As
And-
someone called it
and-
today, a basic white girl t-shirt, any Nirvana t-shirt.
and Mrs. Raider and I have our anniversary, so you are very lucky to even have me here, to be honest.
Thank you very
Although
much.
I think
Punk.
after 28 years, she's probably sick of me, so
Well,
that's probably
there
why
is
she
that
told
as
me
well.
to
She
come
did
and
ask
talk
us
to
to
you
put
lot.
it on today. So
Yeah. Anyway, onwards and upwards.
Right, we've got a few things to get through. Let's do the pod then. So, a couple of bits of news to go through first, boys. First, we're going to start with the breaking news, and that is that Stephon Diggs has been traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans. The Bills are going to receive a 2025 second-round pick. That was via the Vikings, in exchange for Diggs, a 2024 sixth-round pick to the Texans, and a 2025 fifth-round pick to the Texans. They're also eating a buttload of dead cap. I think it's about 31 million, rather than 3.1 million if they'd have kept him around for a year. So Bills are desperate to move off, and the Houston
Clearly
Texans are
want rid.
very happy to
Persona
bring him
non
on.
grata. They definitely didn't want him in the building anymore, did they?
Nope, not a chance.
Come on, boys, talk to me about Stephon Diggs. This is a good move. Who's won? Who's lost? There must be a winner. There must be a loser.
I mean, you look from the Texans' point of view and you go, actually, you chuck him in with Tank Dell and Nico Collins and stuff, and actually they're putting together a really nice little receiving unit for CJ Stroud for next season. On the flip side, everywhere Diggs has been, within a couple of years, he tends to kind of start throwing his toys out the pram and this, that, and the other. So I think, Diggs has always been productive. Last year, he wasn't as productive as he is previous years, but you're pretty much guaranteed sort of, 1,200 yards and 9 or 10 touchdowns a season with him. So I think it's probably good business for both teams, to be honest. Gives Diggs a fresh start, a locker room where he's not considered a cancer as yet, and then the Bills get something for him, even though they're eating a ton of cap space, dead money.
The term you used though
Throw some my way if they want.
the term you used though was yet. He's a wide receiver that we've seen numerous occasions, doesn't like it when he doesn't get the ball.
No.
Is now, I'm gonna guess at 30. If he's not 30, he's bloody close.
Yeah,
And his cap hit's gonna be 20 million something in what is essentially one of the greatest wide receiver drafts in the modern era. I mean, Stephon Diggs is a good player, and he's got a good offense that he's moving into, so I'm sure he'll be successful. Is it something that they needed to do? Not sure, but it's high powered, and it feels weird saying this, but the Texans are definitely in win now mode. We haven't said that for quite some time.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? Which is a bit strange considering it's only the beginning of last season. We were saying if they can go 7-8 or 8-7, then they've had a good season.
Shows the power of having a decent quarterback. That's why Jim's going to be in trouble for a while.
Says the Jarrett Stidham supporter. I mean, the Bills weren't picking until pick 28 anyway, so I mean, the chance of getting a elite wide receiver is a little bit less. But you are absolutely right, Dave. There's a lot of wide receivers in this draft. Every year it's going to be more and more. It's going to be more saturated, a bit more like the running back position, I think. Just there's going to be so many to choose from.
The Bills have moved up 4 times in the past 5 years, from what I remember. They move up with relative regularity, so I wouldn't be too shocked in seeing them do that this year as well. If someone drops, if no one drops, they'll stay with their because there's no value in it. But if someone drops, if Romeo Dunze, for example, is still there at 14, expect to see the Bills making an appearance.
It's
Maybe
unlikely.
Not 14, but there we go.
Yeah, well, and good move for Diggs as well. I mean, he only spends about 4 years somewhere before he gets so annoyed with everyone, and everyone gets so annoyed with him, he needs to move on and try it again.
The worry is the attitude, but they'll get a good couple of years out of him before he starts throwing all his toys up the pram. By that point,
long lost relation of Jose Mourinho. Spend a couple of years, get annoyed at everyone. Everyone gets
annoyed. Off you go. Call yourself a special one when you go.
He did the same thing in Minnesota, so it's no surprise that it happened again in Buffalo.
Mourinho wasn't in Minnesota. What are you talking about?
Oh my God. So we did get some sad news, obviously, the last couple of days, and that is that Vontae Davis, former cornerback was only 35 years old, I believe, passed away unexpectedly, obviously. Doesn't seem like anything untoward happened, but obviously it's a bit of a shock. I remember Vontae quite fondly. Obviously, the highlight was quitting on the Bills halfway through a game. I've never seen a player retire halfway through a game before, but he did it. um, yeah, I don't know. Punk, obviously, as the our custodian of all things historical in the NFL, anything to say about Vontae Davis?
I was going to say nothing about Vontae Mack, but
Oh,
Vontae Davis
Vontae
obviously played for
Davis.
the Dolphins, the Colts, and as you mentioned, the Bills. He's a two-time Pro Bowler. He ended his career with 396 tackles, 2 sacks, 22 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 touchdown. Vontae Davis is an interesting one because he was always kind of one of those really quick cornerbacks. He
Mm,
was kind of I remember him coming out and he was in the low 4.4s, I think, for his 40 and stuff. But he was always one of those players that it's he how do you say it? He never kind of fulfilled his potential, to be honest. It was always Vontae Davis, always he's good. We know he's going to be good, etc., etc. But when he actually got on the field, you never felt like he completely and utterly became the cornerback that he could. Now, obviously, we're not going to speculate as to causes of death and things, but
no.
you know, for a young man aged 35, like you say, quitting the Bills at halftime, is that an indicator of something that was going on? Who knows? I know it was a few years ago now, but these head injuries can work in weird and wonderful ways. We've seen far too many players over the years. Junior Seau, just to mention one. Just you know, it's upsetting that it happens. It's distressing for the teams, the families, everybody, and try as hard as the NFL might be, it just kind of proves that this is a dangerous game.
Mm,
You know,
mhm.
uh, until it becomes no contact, which probably eventually it will, unless we all start watching robots playing football, and androids. Then unfortunately, these types of things are going to happen. And like I said, Vontae Davis was a good cornerback. He could have been exceptional, but he had a good career, and he will be missed around the
yeah.
league.
First round pick for the Dolphins, wasn't he? I think
Yep.
think I remember. Wasn't he? They actually had it on tape, didn't I? Think it was at Hard Knocks when he got traded to the Colts, and Joey Philbin told him he was being traded, and he said he wanted to call his grandma. I think was the line that he
Yes,
came out
that's
with.
right. Yeah. No, yeah, he was very close with his family.
Yeah.
He's one of those players that it's weird. Whenever anything like this happens, I always kind of start thinking about, like I said, previous players and all the rest of it, and it does make me wonder what the league can do about it. But Vontae Davis, go back, watch him on YouTube.
Mm,
He's got some great plays out there.
yeah. Very
Not one
emotional
that's
player.
sticking in my mind particularly, but you know, worth watching his highlights on YouTube.
Yeah. Well said. It's been long enough, boys, so we have to break it out again. It's Felony Watch.
Felony Watch.
Oh, finally a good segment of yours.
Thanks.
Can't we, instead of doing this, can we not talk about every player that's currently injured in the NFL?
Well, we could.
That would be
All right.
more
We'll
content,
flip
right?
over to that then. All right. We won't do Felony Watch.
Can we do every player who's injured in college? No, I'm joking. Do felony watch.
Life was going pretty well for the NFL rookie receiver Rashee Rice. You win a Super Bowl your first season in the league, and you have the GOAT throwing you the ball. Season ends, you go home to Texas and decide to meet up with your friends and take a couple of your cars out for a spin. During the day, what's the worst that can happen? Well, $250,000 Lambo that you were leasing goes out of control and causes a 6-car crash. Best move is to run from the scene, obviously, which he did.
Naturally.
Mercifully, unlike certain other AFC West wide receivers, no one was seriously injured in the crash that we know of. But what do we think about this entire situation? He's since, I think, either terms up and always says he's cooperating with the police, and he's admitted that he was one of the drivers. He had to be for the Lambo, I think, that he was leasing. He was the only one that was allowed to do it. But what a plonker!
There's video of it, so he really is.
Yeah, he's on dash
on
cams
a
now.
hiding
So.
to nothing if he's going to sit there and say he wasn't driving.
Is he
So
going with
yeah,
a whole shaggy
tough
defense?
to argument against.
I
Yeah,
do the
Wasn't me,
shaggy
wasn't me,
defense.
wasn't
Yeah,
me.
just deny. It works for
pretty
Trump.
much.
This is true.
Or
yeah.
just carry on running.
It's the off season. NFL players have lots of money and do silly things when it's the off season. So yeah,
if you're a wide
I mean, to be
receiver,
fair, they do silly things during the season as well. So it's not
if you're a wide receiver, just look, just don't drag race. That's all you've got to do. Just don't do it, because we've seen in very recent times it doesn't end well. Just don't do it. That's all you have to do.
exactly.
All you
Yeah,
have to
acting
do
like
is
it's an
nothing.
easy
Yeah,
thing,
but
Dave. It's very hard.
Where's the fun in that, Dave?
Yeah,
I mean,
All he had
I'm-
to do was hire out a nice little Honda Civic or something, or
Precisely.
gonna say I've got a
and
7-seater
and
Kia.
get from A
Still
to
have your drag
B.
races, just
Exactly.
with the lack of speed.
You
I've got
know,
a 7-seater Kia, and I took on a milk float the other day. No peril. Down to Tesco. It was fine.
Well, I hope Travis Kelce doesn't mind playing until he's 45 at this rate, because Chiefs have got no luck with wide receiver. Anyway, yeah, let's see how that pans out. The other bit of news on Felony Watch is that Cam Sutton, former Lions cornerback Cam Sutton, finally turned himself into Florida authorities last Sunday after having a warrant out for his arrest for the last few weeks. Sutton was released by Detroit after they learned that he was wanted on domestic battery charges relating to strangulation. He was released on Monday. The original felony charge was reduced to a misdemeanor, as the mother of his kids wants to deal with the situation as a family matter, in air quotes. Sutton had just had a career year of solo and assisted tackles, having spent the first 6 years, working his way up the depth chart in Pittsburgh. This was his first big contract. It's now been voided.
Understandably so.
Yes, good move by the Lions, obviously, to move swiftly. Something that Cam Sutton did not do when he was told that he needed to go and report to the county sheriff's office.
Yeah, the thing we've seen in previous years is, even though no criminal charges are brought for domestic battery and that kind of thing, the NFL takes a dim view on it. So I have no doubt that there'll be some kind of exclusion from, or at least game ban. You either get an indefinite exclusion where it's not signed, or get a game ban. So yeah, it might find it more difficult to get a team. But just don't do that. It's easy.
Yeah, if someone does pick him up, they'll then face the consequences on the field. But I think where it's been handled, he won't face any jail time. I think it was a maximum of a year.
No. He won't face any jail time. I mean, if his significant other says that she doesn't want to press charges, it probably won't happen. Especially in Michigan. But yeah, it's just whether or not he'll be suspended by the NFL more than anything. That's probably the next thing that's going to happen.
There we go. That was the news done, as far as I'm aware, over the last week. Time to move on to our pitch for this podcast, and that is that we are now. Last week we did the top 6 teams in the draft and which ones would potentially move out. But now we're looking the other way around. We're looking at 4 teams, so a team each that we think should move up in the draft. So each can be pitching as the GM of what we would do. I guess we'll start with youth before experience. So Finn, how about you, mate? Who are you picking to trade up in this first round?
I feel a bit more pressure on this one because I've taken Dave's team.
No pressure. Yes. You're amongst friends.
You people must be out your damn mind.
Well, we'll find out after this.
We'll see.
The Broncos.
Unlike Dave's approach of hassling every possible fan on Twitter or whatever they call it these days until someone says yes. I think you offered the whole of the state, didn't you, on some of your trade offers, Dave? But here we are.
There's nothing wrong with reaching out to experts.
So yeah, I'm Broncos obviously have a bit of a hole after letting Danger Russ go to Jim's team.
Yeah.
So I think this is how I think they trade up to get in a position to acquire a QB, and I think they've got to be somewhat aggressive with it. I don't see Broncos getting top 3. I think that would be quite a stretch.
Yeah.
And then it was between Cards, Chargers, Giants. Couldn't be bothered to go for the Giants, and I think they can go higher than that. I thought about the Chargers, but then I thought the fact that they're divisional rivals probably means it would then be more of an expensive trade.
Yep.
and I feel the Chargers would probably hold out and just sort of toy with them and then end up saying no anyway. So I went with the Cards. I know they've got an awful lot of capital this year.
Yep.
So I've gone a bit more future proofing for picks so they can start to build a lot. So what I've offered, and I think they take this, by the way. I think they're the Cards, they take this.
If they didn't, this is a whole lot of rhetoric for no.
What are you offering?
I want to build the excitement. Swap first rounds this year.
Denver, there's no excitement.
Yeah,
No,
there's no second round pick.
You have your chance in a minute.
Yeah, okay, so
swap first this year.
Yeah.
First 2025.
Who's this with? Sorry, I missed that.
The Cards.
Arizona.
So we're going four. Okay.
First 2025 and then a third 2026.
I'd take that.
Run that through again.
Swap firsts this year.
Yeah.
First 2025.
Yeah.
And a third 2026.
I don't think that's anywhere near enough, but I'd take that as a Broncos fan.
You're moving down from 4 to 12. You've already got a pick of 27. I mean,
they stick with 2 first rounders this year. They've got a lot this year, and then they bolster them for the future as well.
You'd throw in Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
Wow, could do.
They might come back and say, look, we were going to take Marvin Harrison, but if you give us Cortland Sutton, then we'll let you move up.
Wow.
You got Tim Patrick, Dave. What's the matter with you?
Throw in Tim Patrick then.
No, I mean, you can keep Tim Patrick.
Tim Patrick's a good wide receiver. I think the only problem with moving up to 4th is you're going to get a guy who there's a potential to slide, but I think if the Broncos are going to offer something and try and move up, it's going to be to one of the top 3.
I think that's where everyone's trying to go, though. So the problem will be is how much capital have you got, and getting in the top 3 is not going to be easy for any of the teams that want to get up there. I do agree. I think if you want to be certain that you're getting the player that you want, you have to get in the top 3. But I think, as we said last week, it's pretty much nailed on that top 3, unless you offer an absolute king's ransom, are going to stay where they are. So I think Arizona's pretty much the only one that's open for business to most teams. But I don't hate the trade. I think it rings sensible. It rings true. You've not gone ridiculous and gone have 5 first round picks in the next 5 years. But equally, I'm not sure there's enough there for the Cards to jump on it.
Out of interest, then, who would you pick with the 4th pick then, Finn? If you were the Broncos,
who would I pick?
Yeah, who would you move up for?
I'd put myself in the ring.
Probably
more.
You're not the Browns. Who would you actually pick though if you're going for 4?
Have
you thought about that or not? Have I thrown you a spanner there?
You've thrown me a spanner. I did see a lot of rhetoric around going up for JJ McCarthy, whether he would go at 4.
I think he would have to be the pick at 4 if you were going up that far, and if the other 3 we assume are going to go on at that point.
It's the 4th of those 4, isn't it? It's whichever one
is left
by the other 3. Yeah.
You're picking up the sloppy 4s, which is good for some people.
Good for the Broncos.
Maybe.
Well, about you sleep
sloppy 6 at this rate, mate.
Where I eat my dinner is none of your business. Listen,
awesome.
I think the problem is if you're doing that trade, you're doing it on the night because you don't want to be. If you think actually I really like 3 of the 4, you do the trade the night before, and all of a sudden the one that you don't like is left, and you think, oh, for crying out loud, I don't want to be doing that. And I think that probably goes for most. It certainly goes for my pick as well.
I think it goes for all of them, doesn't it? Let's be honest. It's
a bit,
without the guarantee of going in at 1 or 2, then you're not going to be able to guarantee that the player you want is on the board. So you're not going to make this trade until
as late as possible.
Seeing how the cards fall.
Yeah. But I think you have the conversation beforehand and you agree in principle.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. In principle, it'll all be there, and it'll just be a case of if this happens, pick up the phone, job done.
Yeah. So just for clarity, They move down to 12th. You get
Yep.
up to third. You lose a first next year and a third the following year. I think from a Broncos point of view,
Correct.
I think that's very good value. I think it's slightly being undersold, and if more teams are in on it, the price probably goes up. But hey, it's Arizona, so who knows?
If you can finesse
also
it,
the
then
thing.
yeah. Okay, so that's one.
So that's what I'm going
How about
for.
go next oldest then is Dave, apparently.
Okay, so I
Allegedly.
basically held focus groups.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my
we
goodness,
saw.
here we
We
go.
saw.
Who are you GMing for then, Dave?
So I'm GMing for the New Orleans Saints. So
Yeah.
I went and spoke on Twitter to a Commanders fan, Commander Paul, and
There's a lot of
offered-
knowledge about the Saints.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Clearly.
no, because I was offering
A
to
resident
wash
of
it.
New Orleans.
So I was offering to
Oh,
wash
so you were gauging
I was
what it
pitching
would
to
take.
him,
Okay.
yes, about could I get this? And I was pitching loads of different stuff. Some of the stuff I wouldn't even have offered, but it's like, okay, where are we? What
I
do we
heard
think
you
we
threw
can get?
in Super Bowl tickets.
Yes, absolutely. It's the only way that the Commanders are going to get there, so why not?
Pass.
Maybe the Saints are going to get there. In fairness.
Might
No,
as well
so
throw in WrestleMania tickets.
I then spoke to a couple of Patriots fans and offered them both a deal that they would have accepted. So the Saints are trading with the New Orleans Patriots, the New England Patriots.
I
New
like
teams
that
formed.
team. New Orleans
Yeah.
Patriots. That sounds
Is
like a
there
great
any
idea.
team
They
that
could
could
be
be
playing
less-
This
French.
trade has gone so well. You
Collusion.
formed a new organisation.
Is there
Intercity
any
collusion.
team which would be less likable than the New Orleans Patriots? Could you imagine?
Denver Broncos.
So the Saints the Saints get the third overall pick and
Yeah.
Mhm.
fifth rounder. Okay, this
Right.
year.
Hang on.
137.
Time out.
Yep.
Where are the Saints currently sat in the draft?
Saints are currently
13th.
one behind the Raiders at 13th.
13th. They're moving up 10
Yeah.
spots in this.
13.
10
trade.
spots.
I thought we were 13.
No, you're
Oh, sorry, no, yeah, 14.
you're
Sorry, I was
14.
looking
Yeah, so they
14th.
must be 14.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
11 spots.
So 11 spots to
Okay.
third. Okay. And again, this happens on the
Mhm.
night. So the Saints get the third overall pick and a fifth rounder. So 137 overall.
So they have
Okay.
5 fifth-round picks then.
Yes. And this year,
The magic round.
the Patriots get the 14th overall pick, as well as a second round pick next year, as well as Chris Olave
Jesus.
and Derek Carr. However, the Saints paid Derek Carr's salary this year. So I'll run
Okay.
through that again.
Go on. Sorry. Go again.
If
Okay,
if
here we
I
go.
was a Patriots fan, I'd be ripping your arm off for that.
So think
What, from
about it.
Derek Carr?
So yeah,
Chris Olave.
Chris Olave is basically worth 1.5 first round picks, is what I'm looking at. When I'm saying 1.5,
Hmm.
one and maybe a third.
He's definitely
So
the
there's
equivalent
your
of a
value.
first rounder.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So there's
Yeah.
your first round pick. So all
Yeah.
you're doing is moving down 11 spots. You get Chris
Yeah.
Olave, you get Derek Carr minus his salary, which this year is reasonably significant, and you get a second round pick next year. So I think it suits the Saints.
But you give up a fifth back.
You give up
Kind
a
of,
fifth
yeah,
back.
fifth.
Yeah.
So my thinking of it is, if I'm the Saints, I've now got 37 fifth round picks, whatever it is. Just go and get wide receivers. That's what we need.
5.
Just go and get lots and lots of wide receivers, and hope that 2 of those equal 1 Chris Olave. So there's kind
Okay.
of the Olave's worth he's due a big contract soon, a real big contract. And when he comes to that point and you trade him, you're only going to get a third or a fifth, because the team who's getting him knows that they're going to have to give him a big contract. So you're going to lose him for peanuts. Lose him now for big money. Makes sense, right? So next part of it is Derek Carr is obviously not the answer. There's a huge amount of dead cap. You're paying him anyway, so you might as well just say, look, we'll pay the salary rather than the dead cap. So we'll send it. You can't defer salary for 2 years. It's not allowed by the NFL, but you can do it for 1 year, as seen with Brock Osweiler's trade to the Browns. And they got a first back. So essentially you're saying, here is Derek Carr, we're paying him. He can play for you. And is there any quarterback that's more likable as a player than the Patriots liking Derek Carr? Is exactly what they look for. Think and dunk and don't push it down the field.
Question.
Go
If
for it.
I'm the New Orleans Saints and I'm taking a rookie quarterback really high in the draft, do I really want to get rid of my best weapon that he'd be throwing to?
That's why you've got 5 fifth-round picks to be able to then go and pick up.
But that's a hope. We know Chris Olave is going to be.
It's a hope, but again, you're losing Olave in a couple of years for what? And you know how much damage the Saints have with their cap issues.
True.
They've been kicking the can down the road for so long. They can't possibly offer Chris Olave what he wants, and he's going to end up going anyway. So you might as well just do it now. And they've got decent backup quarterbacks as well.
It's interesting. I mean, no mock has them going for an offensive player at the moment, but to move up.
Not. Well, the only offensive player you're going to go for is a lineman.
I struggle. The only thing I've struggled with, and I struggled this with my team as well, was I don't see anyone being able to do that straight jump. So going from 12, 13, 14 straight up to 3 or 4, I don't see it. I think you've got to do steps.
However, you just said if you were the Patriots, you'd bite my hand off.
I would bite your arm off if I'm the Patriots just to get hold of Olave. But
and let's face it, Derek Carr as well. You're still a homer.
I mean, Derek, of course, that's the real reason.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Derek Carr will fill the hole for you for a couple of years.
Hey, phrasing.
There's no question about that. But I suppose for the Patriots, it's whether or not they feel like there'll be someone else in a couple of years. If they're all in on someone right now, then you're probably going to need to throw a bit more sweetener in there.
Well, the Patriots could end up drafting someone in a later round. Spanky Rattler, for example. He'd fit in well at the Patriots.
They could.
You want some stability. They've had so much upheaval there in the front office. Everyone's new, basically, although they're kind of old at the same time. That you want to have some sort of calming factor in there. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility. I think that Punk's also raised a good point. I mean, just to the viewers and listeners to know, we purposely didn't pick the Vikings because that was just too obvious.
Yep.
They've got all these first round picks.
Just throw the first round picks at them and away you go, isn't it?
Yeah, so we took them out of the running.
You have no idea how hard I had to work to package something up. So I was like, Derek Carr, and they were like, we're paying him too much. I'm like, what if we pay him this year? All right, let's do that. He's like, no, we're paying 30 million next year. You're paying 30 million, but it's basically 50 minutes. Shut up and accept the deal. Yeah, go. So it was a hard slog. It was a real hard slog. But there you go.
We've had two attempts to move up. Punk, what are you doing? You're doing the Raiders, right?
Oh, we're doing this in age order.
Well, yeah, but I've not told you who I'm doing, so that's the mystery.
Jim's got
can be the mystery.
I'll be the mystery.
Here we go. He's changing the rules halfway through. Yeah,
I've said before, I think Jim's picked the Rams, but we'll see.
So, right, 2 scenarios for the Raiders.
Here we go.
I'll give you the easy one first. Stay put. Wait for Bo Nix or Michael Penix.
At 13.
Because everyone else is trying to run around. So yeah, we're at 13. Stay put. We
Penix today.
Yeah, we've hosted pretty much all the quarterbacks, to be honest. If management are saying deem Bo Nix and Michael Penix worthy enough, then stay where you are. Don't mess about. Because there aren't enough teams ahead of you that are going to take quarterbacks. You should be fine. So, the complicated version. I also, because I figured you lot would just go for the Cardinals, I also targeted the Patriots. But I went about it in a very different way. So, before the draft starts, I go and talk to the Tennessee Titans.
Oh.
I do a deal with the Tennessee Titans. I swap pick number 13, pick 77, and a 25th 4th round pick to the Titans in return for pick 7.
So that's your first and your third, and next year's
first, third, next year's 4th to the Titans. Okay. Right. Now I'm
right. Let's let him cook.
Yeah, carry on.
So that gets me closer, knowing what the Patriots are going to be looking for.
If we allow that.
If we allow that. Well, if we don't allow that, it's ridiculous because that's exactly the kind of thing that's going to happen. Okay, so that puts me in 7, which in my mind gives me a much better opportunity to jump up to 3. But so when the draft begins and the Bears draft Caleb Williams, and the Commanders take Drake May. There you go. Heard it here first. Commanders take Drake May.
I'd rather have Theresa May, to be honest, but carry on.
Yes, but you're not the Commanders,
I'd
are
have
you?
Brian May.
You've seen what the Commanders do at quarterback. Right. So I then phone the Patriots. The Patriots, let's say they're not sold completely on the options available to them, want to trade back, but they still want to stay in range to be able to pick up one of the elite receivers. So again, going back to your Chris Olave thing, I also thought receiver, and I thought if they drop back to 7, they're in a much better position to pick up one of those really elite receivers that you lot keep banging on about.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to do that, obviously it's the swap of picks, so 7 for 3.
Yeah.
We will also give them a 2025 first round pick and a 2025 second round pick.
So you're not picking to the 3rd round next year.
So we're not picking to the 3rd round next year, but we get our choice of quarterback.
Okay. Okay. Well,
A lot on offer.
There's a lot to chew over.
It's interesting. I think that it's a stretch to ask the Titans to take that kind of a move back. It's not impossible, obviously.
I do see it as being very logical in terms of getting to 3rd. It seems very logical, but it's whether the Titans accept it. That's the thing.
That's it. And that's where you've got to really do your work now before the draft to figure out, are you even able to get into a position to be able to do it? Now, it might not even be the Titans. It could be, I don't know, who else is there? The Falcons. There's a couple of teams that you could target. But,
I think once you get in, once you get in and around that sort of Titans range, then it becomes a lot easier to get up.
It becomes simpler. Yeah.
But going from where you are to 3rd and 1 is a very difficult task.
I agree.
I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility. I think you're right in that respect, but I have no doubt that Tom Telesco is nowhere near capable enough to make those moves to get up to 3.
We'll see.
Wurzel Gummidge has got more chance than Tom Telesco of making a good move in the draft.
But like I said, the other option is you stay where you are and you pick up Nix or Penix or someone.
But you're not picking up a quarterback at all, right?
Well, we are quite clearly. So
you aren't.
I don't think we pick up a 1st round QB this year.
No,
I think you might pick one up in the later round.
I think we pick up a 1st round.
You've got Aiden O'Connell, mate. You've got the ultimate loyalty coach in Antonio Pierce. That's why you hired him, and he will give his boys all the support he can. So drafting a rookie quarterback is not going to help.
He's got prior with. Is it Daniels?
Yeah, he'll be gone. He'll be gone by that point. So you won't have a chance to get James.
We're going to be up to 3, so he won't be gone because I've just seen Drake May go to the Commanders.
Where have you seen him go to the Commanders? That's a long time ago. Okay. That podcast. No, I honestly don't think you're drafting a quarterback in this draft. But there we go.
No, I think they'll draft a quarterback, but he'd be like round 3, 4, 5, something like that.
We shall see.
Extra bodies in the room. Okay. So.
Go on then, mystery team, boy.
Here we go. Are you going to get the Chiefs up till 1st or something like that?
Could do. Just
37 trades later.
My team has got a massive problem on the horizon. They have a lot of talent, but they don't get over the hump. They get nowhere near the hump, and they really should do. And we've got some massive problems with contracts coming up.
He's going to go 49ers, isn't he?
We have got coming up the highest paid defensive player, the highest paid wide receiver, and the highest paid quarterback. I'm not even Cleveland. So I am Jerry Jones and Jay Jones of the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys do not want a quarterback.
Next year,
is Joe Burrow, right?
Next year, Dak Prescott is going to cost me an arm, 2 legs, and a spleen.
But that's next year. We're talking about this year.
Yeah. He's got his use for me this year because he is tradable. Whereas next year he is an unrestricted free agent next year. So I'm going to call the Minnesota Vikings.
I want the flavor of Kool-Aid that you've been drinking.
Who, as you know, do not have a quarterback, who are desperate. They've shot themselves in the foot because they've traded for a second first round pick. So they're sitting there at 11 and 23.
Hang on.
So far,
time out. Where are Dallas picking currently?
24.
24. Okay.
So
and who are you targeting?
I'm phoning Minnesota at the moment Okay. And I'm saying to them, you don't have a quarterback, and you haven't, whatever you've done in the meantime after picking up pick 23 off the Texans hasn't worked because you're still sitting at 11 and 23. I will give you Dak freaking Prescott, one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the league. You like your stability, you like your, Kirk Cousins was middle of the pack Dak as far as Dave was concerned. Well, okay, I'll say top 10.
Top 15,
top 10.
Just.
He was in the MVP conversation last year.
No, he wasn't.
You could have, yes, he was. He absolutely was. I'm going to give you Dak Prescott. You give me your first round picks. I give you Dak Prescott, and I'll give you
you want 2 first round picks?
Yeah, and I'll give you pick 216 as well, which is my 6th. So I'll give you Dak Prescott in the 6th, and you give me your 2 first round picks.
Would I take on Dak Prescott, knowing I've got to give him a huge contract next year, and give him 2 first round picks?
They gave Cousins a guaranteed contract 4 years ago. They don't mind doing that.
Giving you 2 first round picks for Dak Prescott.
No. Of course you would. That's stability.
No, I wouldn't. You don't
want to take a flyer with a rookie when you can take a bona fide Pro Bowler in
this trade ain't going nowhere.
Of course it is.
You stumbled at the first hurdle, but carry on.
It absolutely would happen. You don't know Dak Prescott.
You don't know the Vikings.
I'll throw in a 5th instead of a 6th round comp. Doesn't matter. And then with those,
firsts.
No, I don't need to give them any first. I'm giving them Dak Prescott. That is guaranteed there. That is stability. And with
Dak
those,
Prescott's for the number 11. What are you doing with number 23? Going to give me?
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. And with those, now I've got 3 first round picks.
I'm concerned.
Now with these 3 first round picks, I can now call New England and I can say your team is trash. You need more picks. Give me the 3rd, and I'll give you 3 first rounders. You can now bolster your team up. So next year you can go and get yourself a quarterback.
I agree if you've got 3 first round picks, but you're not getting 3 first round picks.
Of course I am. So the Vikings are sat there with their dick in their hand going, I can't do anything now because I've got 11 and 23. I really would like to take a good quarterback. I haven't got any guarantees yet. I'm going to give you a guarantee in Dak Prescott.
Can I offer a different option if you're the Cowboys? Right, so I'm going to the Patriots and I'm saying I'll give you Dak Prescott and I'll give you Turpin, the wide receiver, who's actually really good, and he's a good punt returner as well, which is going to be key next year. And I'll give you a first rounder.
I'm not giving him a first. I need 3 first round picks to move up to.
Yes, but Dak's worth 2. You've already said that. Come on.
So I'm all right.
So Dak's worth 2.
Yeah.
You're giving them 1. There's your 3. Giving it straight to New England.
I did say a 2-1-6 as well. So they were getting a 6th round comp out of me.
Oh wow!
That was very nice. That was very generous.
You are so generous.
I think mine's better.
But it resets. It means I can then pay for Micah Parsons. I can pay for CeeDee Lamb, and I reset the clock, and I get a chance at starting afresh with a very decent team, a brand new quarterback, and I'm rolling the dice that way. I'm so old. I want to see another Super Bowl in my lifetime.
The end.
I'm 400 years old.
You're out your mind if you think anyone's giving you 2 first round picks for Dak Prescott.
Why not?
Not happening. Not 1 year away from free agency.
11 and 23 for a Pro Bowler. That's not as crazy as you think it is.
It's not happening.
Well, it's not going to happen. I'm just saying. I know it's not going to happen. I'm just telling you that's what I would try and do if I was Jerry Jones. I can't pay all of them.
I
don't want to lose Micah
Parsons.
Parsons.
Davis was insane. Jesus.
I'll be honest, Jim. I like
Davis
the end
was
result.
insane. Thank you.
But how you've got there, I think, is absolutely deluded.
What do you think Dak Prescott's worth then? Is he 31 years old?
If they put him on the trade block now, I reckon, bearing in mind he's going to need a big old contract soon, I think you might get.
You can negotiate
that.
First.
You might get 1 first, or you might get a first and a 4th or something, but you wouldn't get more than that.
They're mid-round firsts. I'm not going into the top 10 with this. I'm going 11 and 23.
11's not mid-round.
And the Vikings get to go, here you go, guys. We got rid of Kirk Cousins.
11 is worth some dough.
Yeah, but that's baked in. What I'm saying is I'm not moving up to 3 for just Dak Prescott or something. I'm moving it around. And the Vikings are going to be desperate for a quarterback because they traded away Kirk Cousins and they haven't replaced him.
Not Sam Darnold.
Exactly, they haven't replaced him. Thank you for pointing that out.
But Dak for 2 firsts. I can't swallow that, man. It's madness.
We'll play it out. They'll play this season, do exactly what they did last year. Ball in the playoffs before the championship game. Dak Prescott is going to demand $60 million a year. You're going to have to pay him. And so you're then going to lose either CD or Micah for peanuts, and you don't want to do that. And you'll be stuck with a guy that won't get you over the hump. The Vikings are happy not going over the hump.
Or you just
They've never been over the hump.
Yeah, but that's what the Vikings are trying to change, isn't it? That's why
Yeah.
they've got rid of. The Vikings are not going to sit there having just moved on Kirk Cousins and go, oh yeah, we're going to pay another mid-30-year-old quarterback ridiculous amounts of
31.
money for the next 4 years. It's not going to happen. It's
No.
just not in their DNA.
I think if they had a top
out,
5 pick, then I would agree with you, but they haven't. They've got this second first round pick. Everyone's assuming they're going up to 3 or something. So
if you cut out the Vikings and went directly to the Patriots and said, "Here's Dak and a first,"
got more chance.
It's more palatable.
Fine.
It's much more palatable. But the whole thing of getting 2 first rounders for Dak, nah, no.
23rd pick is not what you think it is. Anyway,
no, but 11th is not what you think it is. It's not a mid-rounder.
I'll throw in old Dick Turpin then as well.
Dak and Micah for
Don't
2
throw your
firsts,
dick at
maybe.
me, how dare you?
Robert Turpin can do a job there as well. That was my idea. Is we might as well take the Minnesota picks and use them for good rather than Minnesota, who aren't going to use them for anything. I couldn't move up to 2 because obviously it's the Commanders. It's in division. They would never trade with the Cowboys for a quarterback. So
I think Minnesota have already agreed to trade. I think
you
it's already
reckon?
on the table. Yep. And what we're going to see on draft day is them move up and pick up whoever's going to be at 4th, as long as it's either Drake May or JJ McCarthy.
Whichever
There's
one they
rumours of
want.
JJ McCarthy going second. I don't see it all myself.
No.
But yeah, no, I think the deal's probably already been done. We sat here earlier on and said that you do the deal before the draft in anticipation of certain things happening, and you can say, well, the Vikings have the Vikings haven't done anything that we know of.
Most teams usually have it done before draft night because you can renege on it. There is there's no guarantee that that's actually going to happen. There's nothing written down. It's just a gentleman's agreement, which can obviously be reneged upon.
You're no gentleman if you're reneging on something.
We've seen it before.
No,
there we go, guys.
I think the Vikings have probably already done the deal, though. That's the main thing. But no, the winner out of that, I have to say, was me.
No, definitely
being magnanimous.
Definitely me.
It's clearly me.
Definitely me.
I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't see all of your reactions, but I'm assuming it was all...
Disdain, the usual disdain we treat you with.
So there we go, guys. Next week we'll be even closer in the draft. We're doing mock draft time, and it's only a couple of weeks away. It's about time we stopped all this chatting about it and just got on with it. So until next week, I've been Jim, that's been Finn, that's been Never Dave, that's been Punk Raider, and thank you very much for listening.